Hey YouTube, this your girl Maya coming at you with another video update. I am going to be doing my labor and delivery video that is long awaited and overdue. I do want to apologize for me being so um, skippy on me and my updates and not updating as much as I would like to. I have a lot going on right now in life, as you know. We have our new bundle of joy, so I don't have as much time on my hands as I would like to. It has officially been 1 month, so he is weighing in at 1 month old today, and I will be showing you him as well. But I finally am getting the chance to go ahead and get this video out of the way. I would like to also say hello to all of my new subscribers. I want to thank you guys so much for wanting to follow me on this journey and just supporting me throughout this whole situation. When I first found out that I was expecting a baby, I was not the I'm not going to say I wasn't the happiest, but because it was not planned, I was not as excited as I am now. But you guys have really just given me light throughout this whole situation, being able to update you guys, seeing what everyone else is going through, and updating you on what I'm going through has just made this a very enjoyable process for me. And I just want to tell you guys that I really appreciate it. So, with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into everything. I have made this video multiple times and it has come out at almost 30 minutes. And so, for me to save you guys the time of having to watch a 30-minute video, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. So, the last time I updated you guys with a video, it was Wednesday. Oops, I'm sorry. It was Wednesday, February 18th. And I did my what's in my hospital bag video. That night before that video was made, my mucus plug did come out while I was in bed. And, excuse me, my mucus plug came out while I was in bed. And I immediately thought, like, okay, well, since my mucus plug has come out, there is nothing that anyone can tell me. I know I'm going to be going into labor at least tomorrow, or at least tonight or tomorrow. It didn't happen that way. And the way that it did happen, Wednesday, the mucus plug came out. So I went through that day. I'm thinking I'm going to go into labor. You know, I were doing things to even make me go into labor. Didn't happen. The next day, I went into the hospital for just my regular doctor's appointment, my regular weekly doctor's appointment. And I told my doctor, I said, my mucus plug came out yesterday. Super excited. What does this mean? And he's like, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means that things are moving in the right direction, but that's about it. And my jaw dropped because I was really thinking that it meant that I was going into labor and that this baby was coming soon. That's what I was really wanting him to tell me. And he did not. I did request for him to go ahead and induce my labor that night. And he was like, no, it doesn't work that way. We can't just get you in that quick. We already have the date set for you. So we're just going to keep the 22nd at midnight and call it a day. I was very disappointed, but there was nothing that I could really do about it. And I went on ahead about my business. I kind of left my doctor's appointment bittersweet. Bitter because I was ready for him to come immediately. I was over being pregnant and I was ready to meet my baby boy. Sweet because I didn't have to keep stressing about being induced and everything. I kind of went on ahead and let it sink in that it's going to happen February 22nd or the 23rd, technically at midnight. However, the Most High has had his own plans, but I'll get around to that. So that happened that Thursday. Um, Friday was a normal day for me, normal routine. Um, my only indication that something different was happening that night, once after I ate dinner, I had pizza for dinner, which was one of my favorites while being pregnant. I had pizza for dinner, and after I ate dinner, I started to have mild contractions, and I became very nauseous, and I actually threw up after eating dinner, which was something that had never happened to me before. But I'm just like, okay, whatever. Must not be feeling the pizza today. So the next day, it was Saturday, the 21st. Excuse me. And it was a normal day. My boyfriend, he doesn't work the weekend, so we kind of made a big full day out of it. Woke up that morning, and because I had been so down, he had a few things up his sleeve to cheer me up. We had actually went to go and get me a mani and pedi, which was something that I had been requesting because I had not been able to cut my toenails in a very long time. So I was just like, I need to get my toenails clipped, and I don't want to go into labor with my toes looking a mess like this. So he was like, okay, we're going to go and get your nails and your feet done. And afterwards, we went and ran a couple of errands. We had, I told him that I did want to go walking so that I could still possibly go into labor on my own. At this point, I was just like, I know I'm not going to. I know we're going to go and be induced, whatever. So I told him that I did want to go and do some walking. It was a very beautiful day. It was about 65 outside. We went down on the riverfront. We went walking, and after that, we had went out to dinner. At this point, it's about 10 o'clock, 10:30. We got to dinner. I'll say it was about 10 o'clock, and we ate our dinner. After dinner, we sat there and we talked for a while. And after the fact, I had started to get contractions again, and um, I became very nauseous. And I'm like, okay, well, this is how I felt yesterday. I'm like, I don't want to start throwing up in a restaurant. So I said, come on, let's go, because I don't want to start throwing up in a restaurant. I'm not feeling well. So we got up, we left, we came back to the house. I drank some water and I laid down. At this point, it was about 11:30. Um, I told my boyfriend, I said, I'm just going to lay down. I am going to get up in about an hour, take a shower, and get ready for bed. But I just, need to just relax because I don't want to start throwing up. So I went to sleep. I probably was asleep no longer than about 45 minutes, and my water broke. So I woke up out of my sleep, and I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on? I'm like, Kamaya, I know you didn't just lay here and piss on yourself. You're a grown woman. You better not have peed on yourself. And water started to gush everywhere. I said, okay, this is not pee. This is my water. My water just broke. My boyfriend was in the bathroom, and I yelled for him. I said, Michael, my water just broke. I need you to come and look. And so I'm still laying down in the bed. I'm too scared to even move. And he comes in and he looks and he's like, oh my God, your water did just break. He was like, we have to get ready to leave. We have to go to the hospital. So I'm having a mini panic attack in the inside, but I'm not showing this to him. And he's like running around the room packing his bag up. My bag and the baby's bag was already packed. Told him to pack his bag, and because he thought we were going to be going to the hospital to be induced, he thought he had time. But, just be prepared for anything. So he's running around the room packing his bag up, and I still haven't moved. I'm laying there in this puddle of water, and I'm just like, oh my God, what do I do? So my first instinct was to call my mom. I called her, and she's like, well, congratulations, you're going to have a baby soon. She's like, well, first you need to go ahead and call your doctor, and we're going to go ahead and start getting ready to meet you out at the hospital. So I called my doctor after I got off the phone with my mom, and he's like, okay, well, go ahead, get your things together, and go ahead on out to Bethesda North, and I'll meet you out there soon. So we get out there to the hospital, and we finished packing up. I wanted to take a shower because I'm like disgusting. So I took a shower, which was pointless, by the way, but I took my shower. At this point, I'm not feeling any pain. I'm feeling very normal. I'm having mild contractions, but I don't feel any pain with them. The only way I know I'm having contractions is because my stomach is tightening up every so often. Um, when I did have those type of contractions, it made it a little complicated for me to breathe, but it was really nothing serious. It wasn't painful at all. So I took my shower, got all everything out to the car, and we went on ahead and started heading on over to the hospital. Our hospital was about 30 minutes away. The whole ride over, I didn't feel any pain. I'm feeling really good at this point. Um, we get there to the hospital where we go up on the third floor, which is labor and delivery, and they're like, I signed all this paperwork and consent forms. Excuse me. The lady at the desk, she's like, well, we're going to go ahead and take you back to be examined to make sure your water broke. And then from there, we'll get you put up in a delivery room if your water has broken. So I'm thinking, like, okay, well, maybe my water didn't break because I'm not feeling any pain. So they wrote me back in the wheelchair, and at that point, I get back, meet two other ladies. They're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and take a urine sample from you and examine you to see um, if your water broke. So as soon as I stood up out of the wheelchair, they seen a big old puddle of water left in the wheelchair, and also water started to gush down from out of me, and it soaked my pants even more than what they were already soaked, which is hint why I said the shower was pointless. They're like, you know what, we don't even have to examine you. It's clear that you're ruptured. Go ahead and give us a urine sample, and we're going to go ahead and get you up to a delivery room. We got up, I gave them the urine sample, and we got up to the delivery room. Once we got into the delivery room, they sent my family and everyone in, and we kind of just got situated. They got me hooked up to an IV. I did test positive for strep B, which is a bacteria that I'm assuming they say that some women have it and then some women get it during pregnancy. I'm not sure. I've never been tested for strep B. Um, Never had a reason to be, but I did test positive for it. So once they got me hooked up to the IV, they did go ahead and get the antibiotics flowing in me so that nothing would be transferred over to him during the delivery. Um, at this point, I'm feeling great. It's about 1:30 when I checked. They did check me to see how far along progressed I am. When I checked in, I was already 5 centimeters dilated, which I was shocked about because I wasn't feeling any pain. Probably once I got up there in the room, about an hour and a half passed, and I started to finally feel contractions. They're very mild, but I started to feel like I had to poop. So once I started to feel them, I wanted to get up, kind of move around a little bit so that I could make myself a little bit more comfortable. I got up and I went to the bathroom. My mom helped me, and I'm just like, I have to poop. I feel like I have to poop. And so I tried to poop. Nothing was coming out. Um, and so I went back to the bed. Things were starting to pick up at this point. I got back in bed, and my nurse, she's like, well, do you want to try to do the birthing ball? You want to try to sit on the birthing ball and rock back and forth? And they did I said, yeah, so I could make myself a little more comfortable. At this point, I'm trying to take the contractions as best as possible because I did want to go natural. So she brings the birthing ball in, and I'm rocking back and forth on it a little bit. However, I wasn't able to stay on it very long because they gave me a belly band and they put the monitors on my stomach so they can monitor my contractions and the baby's heartbeat. And once I set up on the birthing ball, they couldn't monitor his heartbeat anymore because my monitor wouldn't stay into place. So she told me, she said, I understand that you're trying to do things as much as possible to keep yourself as comfortable because you want to go natural. However, we're not going to be able to let you stay on the birthing ball. We have to keep him monitored and make sure his heart rate doesn't drop. So we're going to need you to lay back in the bed. I went on ahead and lay back in the bed and was trying to get some rest, but with the contractions coming so frequently at that point, probably every 4 to 5 minutes, and they stayed about 30 seconds each time, it wasn't very comfortable that I could get. So I'll say about 3:30 rolled around, and that's when the contractions really started to kick my butt, and I was in a lot of pain. Um, about 3:30, they checked me. I was at 6.5 centimeters, and I started to request pain medication. They gave, and I was still trying to go natural and not get the epidural, but I did request some pain medicine to help with the contractions. I'm not positive at what the medication was that they gave me, but she put it in my IV, and as soon as it hit, I felt like I was drunk. It made me really dizzy and lightheaded. I couldn't keep my eyes open. Um, it started to give me like hot sweats, and it just really didn't agree with my body very well. So I was kind of in and out of consciousness. I was fully there. Like nothing was going on with my body but me, myself. I was out of consciousness, in and out of sleep after she gave me that because it just made me feel horrendous. Um, it didn't help with the contractions at all. The only thing that it did help me do was probably get a little bit of sleep, which at that point I had not slept either. So it was something that I was a little happy about. Um, so they came in probably about an hour later, and they were like, "We're thinking about giving you pitocin to speed up your labor." And I'm just like, "Well, I don't think I need it. Like I've only been here since 1:30. It's only about 4:30. I don't need pitocin, especially with me being already at 6.5 centimeters." Um, which and I was a little bit disappointed about that because I'm just like, I don't need this. They didn't give it to me yet, but they were telling me that they're thinking about doing it so that they can speed up my labor process. Um, so about 4:30, I was really feeling it. At that point, I began to cry. My mom, my boyfriend were there to both hold my hand and kind of coach me through the contractions. I was trying to do breathing exercises. Nothing really was helping at that point. So about 4:30, I did request to get an epidural. They told me that I was going to have to wait for my epidural because they needed to test my blood to make sure that it wasn't too thin for them to give it to me. I did let you guys know previously that I was taking Lovenox for blood thinners because I'm factor 5 Leiden positive, and it's just a blood clotting disorder. So they made me take Lovenox once every morning. However, Saturday morning, because we got our day started so fast, I did forget to take the Lovenox. And I mentioned that to them, and they're just like, well, we have to test your blood to be on the safe side. So we're going to run this back to the lab, make sure everything's coagulating properly, and then we'll be back with your epidural. I had to wait a whole hour to get my epidural, and it was even crazier because they were trying to give me pitocin. I'm in this pain, and my nurse came in. She's like, before we give you the pitocin, if it is even necessary, we're going to try to give you this epidural. We're going to try to hold off on the pitocin as long as possible because things seem to be moving along just fine, which is what I was thinking too. I'm just like, I don't need this stuff. So I came in about 5:30 to give me the epidural. Everyone was asked to leave the room except for one person. My boyfriend did stay in the room with me, and they had me sit up on the side of the bed. I had a pillow in front of me and I held it like this, and he asked me to lean over. He was standing in front of me and he was, holding me, keeping my back bent over as well. And it's very complicated to do, especially while you're having contractions and they're coming so frequently. I was probably very, very cranky with with the person that was given with my anesthesiologist, but I was in a lot of pain, and the fact that they made me wait so long for the epidural didn't make me any happier. So, I'm questioning them, and I'm just like, is this going to hurt? Am I going to be in any pain? What is this going to feel like? They're like, it's going to feel like a bee sting. You're not going to feel anything but pressure. Make sure you stay still, blah, blah, blah. I've heard a lot of people say that the epidural did not hurt them. The epidural was very painful. Very, very, very painful. And I do not recommend you getting it if you do not have to. If you can take those pains, take the pains. I don't recommend the epidural. I don't. It really hurt going in. And it felt like he was kind of searching around for the correct spot to get it. He made me feel uncomfortable with him giving it to me. I felt like he didn't know what he was doing because he's asking me stuff like, do you have scoliosis? Have you ever had a spinal before? Like feeling around on my back like he didn't know where to put it in at. I was very, very nervous. It took him at least a good 20 minutes to get it in and finally get everything situated. And all he gave me was about that much in a syringe and pushed it in. I never started to really feel numb. My feet never numbed. My legs never numbed. It did help with my contractions a little bit. It helped soften my contractions a bit, but not a whole bunch. And that was it. Like, I still very much so felt my contractions, but just not as strong as they were. So the epidural didn't really help me 100% like I thought it was. If you ask me, I had him natural. I felt everything, but we'll get around to that. So finally that process was completed about 5:30. So my doctor, she's like, we're going to come back in a little while to check you to see how far along you've progressed. So they came in about 7:30 and introduced me to my new nurse because they were changing shifts. And it is AM. So my new nurse was introduced to me, and and I told her, I said, well, I feel like I have to push. So I would like for you guys to check me. After they gave me the epidural, I was able to sleep. So until they came and woke me up about 7:30, like I had been asleep. Once they woke me up, I'm just like, I feel a lot of pressure. I feel like I need to push. She's like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get shift changed, and I'll be back in about 30 minutes to check you. She didn't come back for a whole hour, so she came back in to check me about 8:30, and I opened my legs up, and before I even did that, I'm like, I feel like I have to push, like, I really have to push. And so I opened up, and she's like, well, we're going to check you to see how far along you are. She looked down, and she's like, you know what? We don't even have to check you because I see his head. She's like, I'm going to go ahead and phone the doctor so he can go ahead and be on his way here. So she called him, and I'm like, I'm telling her repeatedly, I have to push. He's coming. So she gets him on the phone. She's like, she's, I can see his head. She's fully effaced. The baby's coming. We need you to get here. He said while they were on the phone that he was 10 minutes out. So he didn't actually show up until 30 minutes later. At that point, they had the room fully set up for the baby's arrival, the bed set up for him, the bucket to catch the placenta in. They had my legs up in the stirrups. Everything that they could possibly have set up, they had set up when he arrived. He walked into the room. He was not dressed. And he's like, oh, hey, family, how everything's going, blah, blah. She's like, no, you need to be dressed. This baby's coming. So he ran back out the room, came back in like 5 minutes later, washed his hands, gloved up, came, stood in front of me. As soon as he put his hands out and stood in front of me, Micah's head popped out. And he's like, whoa, he's coming. And, unwrapped his umbilical cord from around his head. And he, next thing you know, his shoulders were arriving. And he delivered him and put him up on my chest. And I looked down at my baby, and he had these big old brown eyes looking up at me, and he let out the loudest cry you could think of. And I just started rubbing him and patting his back, and it was just a really amazing feeling. And I didn't have to push not one time. I didn't have any tears. Afterwards, they put him up on my stomach. They went on ahead and delivered the placenta. And once they delivered the placenta, they gave the scissors to Michael, his dad, and told him to cut the cord. And once they got the cord cut, they got him cleaned up and they got him weighed. And he weighed in at 8 pounds, 1 ounce. And he was 21 inches long. And he was absolutely, absolutely beautiful. The best feeling, the best moment of my life thus far. The happiest I've ever been was the moment that I seen him take his first breath and just let out the loudest cry I've ever heard. It was a very amazing feeling, and I will be letting you guys meet him here very shortly. He's in the other room with his uncle. He was feeding him, but my labor went fantastic. I was so blessed because from me going one moment to thinking that I was going to have to be induced to actually being able to have him vaginally and just having an easy labor. I didn't have to push. I didn't have to, I didn't tear. He came right out. And I was just really grateful, that I was able to just not have any complications. He was 100% healthy. He didn't have any complications. It was a very great experience for me. My experience being at the hospital was absolutely wonderful. I stayed there for 2 nights after I had him, 3 days, 2 nights. And my experience with staying at Bethesda North Hospital was absolutely amazing. All of the staff and nurses and just everyone that I came into contact with out there was absolutely amazing. And it is I highly recommend the hospital. I highly recommend Dr. Lamb as an OBGYN. And it was a very wonderful experience. I am going to go ahead and get the baby so I can introduce him to you guys. Again, he is finally officially 1 month old. So, I can't wait for you all to meet him. I'll be right back very shortly. Okay, so I do apologize about that, you guys. And this is baby Micah. He was in there napping with his uncle. I just finished changing and feeding him not too long ago, so he's not as up and aware as I would like him to, but he opens his big, beautiful eyes every once in a while, and I can't believe it. He's finally here. My sweet baby boy. Mwah. Say hi, Pooh. Say hi. So he's here, you guys. And he's doing absolutely wonderful. As I said again, he is 1 month today, so I had him February 21st at 9:01 a.m. And he came out 8 pounds, 1 ounce, 21 inches, and have just been this gracious bundle of joy, just everything that I could ever possibly ask for. I feel so, so, so blessed. So I'll show you him again. This is baby Micah. Okay, so that is my labor and delivery story. And say hi, Pooh. Look like he's trying to wake up a little bit. And he came out with a head full of hair that's curly. When he first came out, it laid down completely bone straight. Say hi. You got your eyes open. Say hi to everyone. But so that was my labor and delivery, and this is baby Micah. I will be giving you guys another update of him and how he is doing here, probably on his 2-month update. I will be checking back in with you guys very soon with just an update on me, how I'm doing, how my body is feeling and everything. More information about just things that I have been going through within these past 4 weeks of him being here, postpartum, my hormones, just a quick brief update of how everything has been going. If you guys would like to see a video like that, please thumbs up, comment. If you guys have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask them. I am an open book. If you guys do not want to ask the questions openly here on under the comments, you guys can always email me or message me to where I will be able to get them and see them individually. But that is how everything has been going. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for following me on this journey. Like, comment, subscribe if you would like for these videos to keep coming. I want to say thank you all so much, and I hope you all stay blessed.